Hello, today we are going to talk about return on investment, or ROI. What is ROI? ROI is the amount of money you're going to get back for however much money you just put in over a given time period. So that's going to start with a thought, an idea of what you want things to be like in the future. You're going to make a plan for that idea. And then we're going to look at the cost aspects of that. So all the money aspects, all the cash inflows and outflows. And return on investment has a very simple formula. You take the net returns for your investment divided by the cost of the investment improvements over a given time period. So this can be very simple or it can be very complicated. This example is going to show a little bit more of a more complicated form of it. So you have your different changes in revenue on the left-hand side there, emissions, payments, penalties, and you're going to look at the comparison period of what you have currently happening right now. And then you're going to give that same amount of time to what you want to have happen in the future. Then you're going to have the net change. And then you're going to look at the costs. Different servicing costs and staffings, and these all change depending on what you're exactly looking at. You're going to look at the exact same comparison period that you had for your revenues. You're going to do that the exact same time frame for your costs, and then you're going to do that also the costs also for the implementation period that you're going to have in the future. Again, take the net change between those, and that gives you your revenues divided by your costs, which will give you your ROI. So here's an example of what that would look like for a larger business. So you see the costs, $11.8 million. Your returns are going to be $28.5 million. And then you have also other factors to take into account, too. Discount rates, your depreciations, reimbursement rates, all different factors that can play a part when you have longer periods of time, more than a year. You would start getting into those rates when you start talking about 5, 10, and 10 plus years. Then you start looking at, you also have to look at the time periods, your start dates, your return date, your end dates. So for this particular analysis that's shown on the screen is for a computer system for physicians. This system would save the hospital $2.2 million annually over an 11-year period, but it does take 5 years for the system to have a benefit. So we're going to do a very simplified activity here. So for this activity, we're going to say Sarah bought a house a year ago and is now ready to make some environmental improvements. She currently has 30 CFL light bulbs. Those are compressed fluorescent light bulbs in her house. She has made the assumption the lights are used on average 6 hours per day. The cost of power is 10 cents per kilowatt hour. A CFL bulb costs on average $1.05 per bulb, and an LED bulb costs $1.75. So for this activity, all of the necessary information is in the top portion of the screen. Feel free to pause at any time to make the necessary calculations. So you're going to take the hours of use per day times the number of light bulbs times the days per year gives us the hours of use per year. There's all the information for it. It takes 6 hours of use per day times 30 light bulbs times 365 days a year gives us 65,700 hours of use per year. We're going to take the hours of use per year times the watts of an LED bulb gives us the watt hours per year. 65,700 watt hours per year times the 8 watts for an LED bulb gives us 525,600 watt hours per year. We're going to take the watt hours per year, we're going to divide that by 1,000 kilowatts to give us the kilowatt hours per year. So 525,600 divided by 1,000 gives us 525.6 kilowatt hours per year. We're going to take the kilowatt hours per year times the cost of power is going to give us the cost of power per year. 525.6 kilowatt hours per year times 10 cents gives us an annual cost for electricity of $52.56. So I have already given the CFL cost, but you would do the exact same one that's been done here, but you would replace the CFL information for the LED information. So We're going to take the cost of the CFL bulbs minus the cost of the LED bulbs is going to give us the net savings. So that is $91.98 for the CFLs minus the $52.56 gives us a savings per year in electricity of $39.42. So here's the ROI formula. We're going to take our savings divided by the cost of the bulbs. This is going to give us the ROI. $39.42 divided by the cost at $52.50 gives us an ROI of 0.75. What does that actually mean? What that means is 0.75 means you will get back 75 cents for every dollar you spend. So what we're looking for is an ROI of greater than 1. We want to make more money than what we're putting into it. So an ROI of less than 1 is not desirable. However, an important consideration for this is the time period. When you expand the ROI to 2 years, given all the other information, the ROI becomes a 1.5. This is why time is such an important consideration in this calculation. One of the other things that is not considered in this calculation is the cost of replacing the light bulbs. CFLs only had a lifespan of 9,000 hours, whereas an LED bulb has a lifespan of 50,000 hours. So factoring that in will give you a more accurate ROI, as would making sure that you understand all the other assumptions, such as the amount of time you're using for a light bulb.
Okay, and with that, I will discuss simple payback periods. What is a simple payback period? Well, it's a method that we use to determine how long it takes for investments or some of these actions to pay for themselves. It can also be displayed using a simple formula. And that formula is the payback period is equal to your initial investment divided by the amount of money that you saved. For an example, we'll work out a simple payback period for replacing incandescent bulbs with either CFL or LED bulbs. To determine a simple payback, you'll need to know some basic information, including the cost, the efficiency, and to a lesser extent or a greater extent, the lifetime. So the costs for a 4-pack of 60-watt incandescent bulbs are $5.99. They run at 10% efficiency, which means 90% of their energy is lost to heat, and only 10% of that energy is used to light. They last about 750 or more hours. For the 60-watt equivalent in the CFL, it's a 15-watt bulb. The 4-pack is $9.99, and they're approximately 75% more efficient, and they'll last anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 hours. And finally, we have the LED bulbs, which are the most expensive for a 4-pack at $19.99 for the 60-watt equivalent, and they are about 85 to 90% more efficient, but they'll last up to 100,000 hours. And the last bit of information we'll need to determine the simple payback is the cost of energy, and we assume 10 cents per kilowatt hour. We also need to know a little bit about usage. So for the incandescent bulb, if you ran at 60 watts for 3 hours a day, it would be 65.7 kilowatt hours each year. And at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, that would be $6.57 each year to operate that incandescent bulb for the 3 hours a day. The CFL for the same usage, it would cost $1.64 a year to operate, and the LED would cost $1.31 to operate. The simple payback period for the CFL, we'll go ahead and determine that. The CFL is $4 more than the incandescent. The CFL will cost $1.64 a year to operate, and the incandescent will cost $6.57 a year to operate, which is $4.93 a year in savings. So the payback period is equal to your $4 initial investment divided by your $4.93 saved. As you can see, it's already less. You're saving more than you spent, so it's going to be under a year, and it is $4 divided by 493 is 0.81 years, or about 292 days. So the payback period for the CFL bulb versus the incandescent bulb is 292 days. Now we'll determine the LED payback period. Remember the LED was $19.99. The incandescents were $5.99. The LEDs cost about $31 a year to operate, and the incandescents will cost $657 a year to operate. Excuse me. So your metrics are your $14 initial investment and your $526 a year in savings. $14 divided by $526 a year equals 2.66. So the simple payback period for your LED bulbs is about 2.7 years. And it's important to mention not only the lifetime of the bulbs, but also price fluctuations as with recent sales or in other retail stores, the price for the LEDs are significantly less.
Hi, my name is Thomas Dinsel, and I'm going to discuss life cycle costing. What is life cycle costing? It's the process of an economic analysis to assess the total cost of ownership of a product, including its cost of installation, operation, maintenance, conversion, and or decommission. This is different compared to the previous topics we just talked about because it's not just looking at initial cost compared to when you're going to get your money back. It's looking at the lifetime of the product. For this example, we see here we have two options for roadways, concrete versus asphalt. Concrete is much more expensive, it lasts a lot longer, but asphalt cheaper, but you have a lot more maintenance issues over the time, as you can see by the multiple dollar signs spread out throughout the 40 years compared to just a few in the concrete. Now again, what they were talking about was just the tip of the iceberg. Acquisition cost is generally what you're comparing. You're looking at prices, and even with the previous subjects. You're just looking at your initial cost and what it takes to get it back. Life cycle costing compares everything throughout the whole entire product's life cycle. Anything from installation cost, training cost, data cost, maintenance. Even down the line, you're looking at disposal cost. And there's a lot more options too. I mean, it's not all bad. Sometimes at the end of the product's life cycle, you can trade it back in, sell it, or sometimes you have to actually pay to have it decommissioned. Again, we're talking about operation costs, acquisition costs, maintenance costs, disposal costs throughout the whole life cycle. This is a basic chart where you can compare everything throughout, like for instance, a 5-year life cycle. This just gives an example of cash outflows. Like I said before, you can take into effect different cash inflows throughout the years too. Now this spreadsheet can just be a few lines, like you'll see in my next example. It could be a page, or if you're talking about a much bigger project, like maybe building a building, it could be hundreds of pages. So how it works is you take, for instance, we're going to use an example I used for work. Is we're going to take comparing buying a Chevy Malibu that we use for one of our employees throughout the year, averaging about 30,000 miles a year, comparing to buying a more fuel efficient hybrid Chevy Bolt. So what we do here is take the initial cost for year one, which will be the purchase price, and we'll add in the fuel costs, averaging about 30,000 miles a year, maintenance, insurance, and no tax credit because it's not a fuel efficient car. So we get a total of $24,733 for the first year. And we do that again throughout the next 4 years. This time we're only going to have fuel, maintenance, and insurance, again for year 3, year 4. And then on year 5, we'll see that we have a trade-in, because when this car is done with its life cycle, we're going to trade back in for another one after 5 years. So you tally all that up, and you'll come to the end, and the whole life cycle cost is $35,377. Now we're going to compare that to the Chevy Bolt, which has a much higher purchase price of over about $15,000 more. But we're going to compare it to the life cycle. You'll notice that the fuel cost for the first year is significantly less because, as opposed to getting 25 miles per gallon, you're getting close to about 110. Also, you'll notice with the first year we get a $7,500 tax credit for it being a hybrid car. So then again, we'll take the rest of the costs fill them in for each year of the next 4 years. And then again, we'll have the trade-in value along with the other costs. And then you'll see, even though at the end that the total, it was $15,000 more expensive to buy initially, if you look at the life cycle cost, it would actually save us about $3,000 over 5 years. So next, we're going to compare a simplified activity for you. I've already left up the Chevy Malibu cost, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to fill in the life cycle cost for a 2000 Toyota Prius. I've taken all the numbers, I've added them out for you so you can add them up quicker, and you'll just total out for each year, 1 through 5. The tax credit will go on the first year, the trade-in credit will go on year 5. So once you've added all of these up, subtract the trade-in tax credit, you should end up with a total, and we'll compare if it's a much better buy or not. So I'm going to let you go ahead and pause the video now if you want to fill this out. Okay, now that you've had a chance to do that, you should have come up with a total of $22,768, being that this was a cheaper car initially and being that it is a more fuel-efficient car. It is definitely the best buy of all the options. Here's what the numbers look like for the rest of the 5 years. And that's it. Thank you.